So we finally made it. The end of the Disney era for never before seen Power Rangers. And this one is going to be interesting to talk about because the two series are very different from one another. If you're a Power Rangers fan, you know what RPM is about, with the backstories behind the scenes, but if you want a more detailed look about it, check out Este's video talking about the original ending planned for RPM. Now the Sentai I've heard mixed things about. It's more of a comedy with some goofy elements in it. But fun fact, did you know how in Super Mega Force, the RPM tribute episode, they go to Corinth, but Corinth looks like a racetrack? The whole reason behind that is because the Sentai has a machine world. But let's keep the introduction short, and let's talk about some monsters that never made it into Power Rangers RPM. Alright, first I'm going to talk about this character, Water Pollution Minister Kega Lesser. She's like the Tenaya 7 of the show. I know she's not a monster, but her appearance in the Sentai being a human character does affect some of these monsters being cut. Those monsters being Labanko and Engine Banki. These monsters have some really interesting designs to them, one of them being a squid monster and the other one being a GoBot.
The dude's not into your D&D GoBots bullshit.
Whoa, don't insult the guy. The GoBots are like the Kmart Transformers.
Alright, now let's talk about some of the other monsters. First up on the list is Water Pollution Prince Nagori Zo. I'm not saying the entire thing, but this monster battled Go-Onger Yellow and Go-Onger Silver, and they were unmorphed a lot in this episode, which sucks that they couldn't do anything with the footage, because if we got some Jammer and Summer interactions, that would have been really cool to see them team up and have a dedicated episode, seeing those two characters kick ass and take names. I would have loved to see that. Now here's an interesting one. Baki. This one gets cut because their fight scenes take place in an urban forest, which doesn't really work for RPM because everything is a wasteland, so adapting this monster wouldn't make sense if they jumped to Sentai footage and suddenly they're fighting in the forest. Maybe they could have written around it and saying they're in the forest of Corinth, but it was too foresty for RPM's likeness. Next up is Rai Rai Ken and Goku Go Kamaru. And these monsters are very Japanesey. Not that that's a bad thing, but like Baki, they didn't really fit the theme of RPM. Maybe if they had the suits lying around, they could have been the villains for Clash of the Red Ranger. Same goes for Yatai Banki, a very Japanesey looking monster. Now at this time, Power Rangers had come a long way since it started with MMPR, but this wasn't the MMPR days where they could take a Japanese monster and Americanize it. I'm looking at you, Trumpet Top, you fucking piece of tofu, but I'm surprised that they didn't try to Americanize this monster, but if you look at their designs, they are very Japanesey and they kind of don't fit the theme of RPM. Now, have you ever wondered what would happen if your shower came to life and had a pair of boobs? Well, Japan does, and that's why they made this monster a Super Sentai villain, and that's how Shower Banki came to be. Now, looking at this monster, you can obviously tell why it was cut. It's very, very sexy, but also it's a shower with a pair of tits. That is stupid. That is stupidly cool, and I love it. I love it a lot. I might have to check out Go-Onger just to see this episode and check out what this monster is about, because when I found out when doing the research on this video on Ranger Wiki, I was like, that is so stupid, I love it. But yeah, that's Shower Banki. Second to last is Bin Banki, a water bottle, who is a wizard. Once again, doesn't really fit the right theme for RPM, so I can see why this monster was cut. It's got a very goofy looking design. And last on the list is the crossover monster, because RPM and Jungle Fury never had a crossover, so this was never adapted, and it kind of sucks that we never got a crossover between Jungle Fury and RPM, but oh well, it is what it is. But I gotta say, the design for this monster does look kind of cool. And with that said, that brings Never Before Seen Power Ranger Monsters Part 11 to a close. And those were the monsters that never made it into Power Rangers RPM. Next month, or whenever the next video drops, we'll be covering monsters that never appeared in Power Rangers Samurai and Super Samurai, bringing us into the Neo Saban era, which is going to be kind of a controversial era with how many monsters are going to get skipped, especially when we get to Go Seija and Go Kaija. those are going to be a big challenge, and I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to tackle those videos. But we'll get there when we get there. But what do you guys think of the monsters that never made it into Power Rangers RPM? Do you love them? Do you hate them? How would you put them into the show? Tell me in the comments section down below. With that said, I'm going to bring this video to a close. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I will see you guys later. Peace out, take care, bye.